Hi, this is Ana Hernando, National Board Certified Occupational Therapist with Holistic Solutions and creator of 12 Steps to Wellness. If you're following along, you know that we've been working and talking about wellness, which is mind, body, and spirit. And I equate those to be the same as, well, kind of like the story of the three little pigs. The mind being the house of straw, the body being the house of sticks, and the spirit being the house of bricks. And we've been concentrating on the house of straw, the mind. Today I want to share with you what is known as sensory processing and why this is vitally important for our living and how it works. Most people are familiar with sensory processing disorder if they have a child or someone that has had a brain injury or a child that has autism or Asperger's or somewhere along the spectrum. As a National Board Certified Occupational Therapist, I have what's called a sensory specialty license certification, where basically that just means I really studied this for a long time. So, sensory processing, everybody has it. It's what makes us as humans know where we exist and how to function, okay? There are three main components to sensory processing. And I know some of you are thinking, the senses, aren't there 5 or 6 senses? Well, there are, but if you think of those are the outer parts of sensory processing, we're going to talk about the inner part of sensory processing. The inner part of sensory processing is 3 components. It is what's called your vestibular processing area, your visual processing, and your auditory processing. Now, it doesn't mean you can hear or you can see, although those things are important. But what it means is that how does the brain take in the information, decipher it, to understand it? For example, if I were to tell you that a child is having difficulty with auditory processing, you might look at me and say, but they can hear. Well, they might hear the chirping of a bird. But the processing part is to know that that is a bird. The chirping that they hear is a bird. That's just one component. All 3 of these processes are actually talking to each other and working together all the time. So how does hearing the bird have to equate to visual processing and vestibular processing? Well, so I hear the bird. Auditory processing. I hear the bird, I think, and I know, bird. Now, is the bird a threat to me? I look, vision, visual processing. There's the bird. It's a little bird. He's cute. No, he's not a threat. And vestibular processing, if it was a threat, how far away and how quickly do I need to get away? If it's not a threat and maybe I want to reach out to the bird, how can I move my body to get closer to it? All of these things are happening at the very, very basic level of our brain. Sensory processing equates to how we learn. You might have been told that you might be an auditory learner, or you're a kinesthetic learner, or you're a visual learner. It doesn't mean that you can't learn any other ways. It just means that you have one that's stronger than the other. And we really should get good at learning all ways to process information. And the reason being is so that you can actually communicate with everybody else if they're a different type of learner than you. Sensory processing is the foundation for all your learning. Absolutely the foundation of all your learning. Vestibular processing communicates to visual processing. Visual processing communicates to auditory processing. Auditory processing communicates to vestibular processing. All 3 of these are working together all the time. Abstract reasoning, that's your visual processing and your auditory processing connecting. Movement and coordination, that's your visual processing and your vestibular processing moving together. speaking, communicating, humor, those are your things of vestibular and your auditory coming together. So all of these are working together. So what does that have to do with wellness and your mind? It's to bring about awareness to you and for you to recognize how, in the previous video we talked about caution, fear, and anxiety. Well, the way you process information is directly related to those. You know how I talked about the bird? If I'm not aware that that's a bird and I'm hearing cheep, 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 but my brain isn't getting that that's a little teeny tiny bird, my brain is already thinking, oh my gosh, that's a pterodactyl coming at me? Misinformation, misprocessing, and now I have a fearful situation when otherwise it shouldn't be. When you're working on your goals and you're working on things that you want to achieve and you're just trying to get yourself in a state of wellness, be aware of what is your strongest processing component, but also be aware of what you can improve on and what causes you strife.